My name is Logan. I'm an assistant professor in the Junger Center, as well as the Department of Neurology here at OHSU. I did my postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, and then moved here to OHSU in the fall of 2010. Hi, Alpida. I'm doing well. One project, and this really falls under the large umbrella of what we're interested overall in the lab, is trying to understand how the immune system responds to injury events in the brain. Largely what we want to understand is how a certain set of cells that are called glial cells, how they detect and then elicit responses whenever a neuron becomes stressed or damaged, either due to injury or some sort of chronic neurodegenerative condition. And there's a lot of interplay between this immune system and the regenerative capacity after a number of injury or disease events. So it's really important that we tease apart the molecules that kind of govern these interactions. So I did notice, I was looking at this one. We have a number of projects where we are really taking advantage of the fruit fly, where you can just screen through genomes so rapidly and identify new molecules that we find are essential for the immune system to respond appropriately to an injury event. We collaborate with a number of labs on campus as well as off campus, and frankly, this was one of the attributes of OHSU that was very appealing. There's a very strong and very regular connection between the basic scientists and the clinicians and the clinical researchers. So these opportunities are constantly emerging themselves, where you cross paths with somebody at a seminar or a journal club, and you realize that there's some scientific